Watch Who?
Hello and welcome to the To Watch Who podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan. And Sarah,
I'm new to Who.
You're newly watching these episodes, let's say. Yeah. So we started off last time with An Unearthly Child. We started from the very beginning.
We're in the past.
Yeah, and listening to that back, I realised I think I was quite mesmerised at your reactions because you'd never seen any of this before and you'd never met any of the characters before.
No.
Ian, Barbara, Susan or the Doctor. So it was all completely new to you. So I think I was just fascinated by what you would think. Because this goes back to, like, although I've been a fan for like 26 years, and because I was a fan in the 90s when it wasn't on TV, so it wasn't really something to talk about. It sounds really like it wasn't like a cool thing to talk about.
No.
So I've never really talked about Doctor Who before, so this is very therapeutic for me to talk about it. So I think I was just like, I had no idea how you would react.
No.
And even like talking to fans now, I still feel a bit like, not embarrassed, but sort of like there's a slight,
almost
there's that
like
90s feeling coming back. The 90s come back when I talk about Doctor Who.
Well, we've never talked about it, obviously.
No.
Like, other than like you liking Who, and you like Doctor Who, and you go to your conventions and you send me the pictures and I go, who's that? This person, okay.
Yeah.
And I just know you're a fan, like a big fan, and that's it.
Yeah.
We never talk about it.
Usually I watch Doctor Who on my own.
Yeah.
So this is a new experience for me, watching with somebody.
Yeah.
And sort of looking at these stories again. So we had a good experience watching Unearthly Child.
Yeah, and actually you said afterwards, like, you looked at it in a different way.
Yeah, I'm watching it differently. And watching it in order as well. You do see things that you don't from story to story. So we left off last time. We're heading towards the dead planet. You're very excited about that.
The future.
The future. And you're very excited to see the future as done by the BBC, or Alien Worlds in the 60s.
Yes.
There's been a forest fire. Everything's sort of white and ashen.
Funny mist. The heat must have been indescribable. Look at this soil here. Look at it. It's all turned to sand and ashes.
Let's see, what did you think?
To be fair, because the TARDIS looks as it does, the TARDIS inside is the future in its. Do you know what I mean? It's set.
Okay, it's future. Yes,
it's futuristic.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's like it's all futuristic, isn't it? Like, you know, it's got that like when they have their food and stuff.
Food machine, yeah.
Yeah, that's all futuristic, and its look is all like, you know, all futuristic.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess to some extent, maybe when I saw it, it wasn't too weird because I'm already just sort of in this zone of.
Okay, so it's not anything completely different because so we've got the jungle, like the petrified jungle.
Yeah, which was rehashed to some extent, let's be honest.
What from the previous
Yeah.
Well, they've added some alien plants and some sticks.
They added some like what look like Christmas decorations. Yeah, you were like
lolly sticks, but horizontal.
Do you know what? I swear that they are Christmas decorations nowadays. You can buy them in Debenhams. They were on sale recently.
There we go, Planet Scaro in Debenhams. So you've got that jungle, which probably reused some of it.
Yeah.
And then you've got the metallic Dalek city, which I think looks really good with the doors that shape.
Yeah.
And when Barbara's walking around exploring it, and
you love that.
So the future wasn't too much of a shock for you.
No, and it was decent.
Yeah. And then we meet the Thals as well. So this is our first sort of alien race as well.
Yeah.
That's the thing that takes it out for me. It dates it a little bit. I think it's the costumes. It's the alien.
Yeah, but there's no way around that.
The costumes are the things that slightly.
What do you expect the future costumes to look like?
I know. But the Thal, I don't know. It's just they've got those leather trousers with the holes in. Well, it's very 60s as well. It's very 60s alien, isn't it? Not
There is a lot of 60s within
yes,
this.
it is. So you've got to watch it within context of the time.
Yeah.
But we're going to meet a lot of alien races, I think, that are going to look...
One of the things that we talked about was just generally clothing and like, because obviously this is 7 episodes?
This
6?
one's 7, yeah.
7. So obviously in between the different episodes, some people's clothing does change. So like Barbara, her top changes, doesn't it?
Well, only because I said it was buttoned down the back when we were watching her walking around the city.
Yeah.
I'd mentioned something about her having it buttoned down the back, and then later on it wasn't.
Yeah. So you were like, oh, buttons. I was like, Mark, that's the fashion. And then later on, they were like, not there. And I was like, ooh, change. And I was like, when has Barbara had time to get
She
changed?
gets changed in the Thal camp,
This
doesn't
is
she?
before Thal camp.
She gets her leather Thal trousers
I
on,
bet
doesn't
she does. I bet. And where did she get those from?
Before she goes potholing with her Thal lover.
I know. I bet she does. I bet. We'll get to that.
There I go, yeah. So yeah, it's the costumes are slightly... And also, so this story, it's not one I particularly know that well.
Yeah.
So I never had this one on video.
No.
I only watched it first when it came out on DVD. And thinking about that, so the Doctor Who stories that I enjoy and that are like sort of my favourites I watch again and again are just the ones that I first got or first watched on video. So whoever decided the repeats and whoever decided the release order sort of dictated that. So this one I just never had.
watched.
I remember when it was out on video and it was in 2 VHS things, but it wasn't a double set. It was, you had to buy part 1, episodes 1 to 4.
Yeah.
And then like part 2, like the other one. They were separate actual things. I don't think we even bought them together.
No.
I remember seeing that. Oh, maybe I got it from the library or something. So it wasn't one that obviously it's known as the first Dalek story, so it's got that importance. But I don't think it's the best Dalek story.
No.
It just sets it up. And it's...
Yeah.
You know what the Daleks are.
Yeah.
So it's never been... There's better Dalek stories out there.
Again, I know enough about Doctor Who, and again, this is only because when it was coming back out in like the 2000s, they said like it was so iconic because when the Daleks came on TV, kids would hide behind their sofas.
Yeah, it made Doctor Who. It wouldn't carry on. It wouldn't have carried on.
No.
If the Daleks hadn't appeared.
Yeah,
You can't meet cavemen every week.
What was his name?
Cal.
Cal.
Oh, Cal. I hope it's okay.
Poor Cal.
Cal. So yeah, the Daleks, they're all right. They're fine in this. They're Daleks.
Yeah.
There's some good stories with Daleks in, but when there's scenes and scenes of Daleks talking to each other, even me as a fan, it tries my patience.
I couldn't tell what they were talking about.
And these are very early Daleks, so they haven't really perfected the voices maybe as they do later on.
Yeah, the voice was what the voice was. They were quite chatty, which is what I wasn't expecting.
They talked a lot, yeah.
Yeah, they were really chatty. And because obviously, again, I guess it's like, the way that it's all recorded at the times and stuff and all that. Like, it was really... you could hardly even tell what they were saying. And when it's really chatty sometimes, I was like, I have no idea what's going on.
Later on, they sort of perfected, but this is quite new technology.
Yeah.
They were, they haven't done... No one's seen anything like this before again,
no.
So...
Absolutely. I think icon, Doctor Who and I think Daleks, they're hand in hand. I even think I didn't even know Cybermen before.
You were like, who are those robots?
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I didn't even know Cybermen until I saw them much later on in the Doctor Who thing. Yeah. And again, it must have been like a Christmas special sort of thing on TV at some point. Not a clue. I just think Doctor Who and Daleks, they are even all the promo coming up to it. And I remember at the time it was this whole thing will the Daleks return? Will the Daleks be back? That was the whole they are iconic. And has the design, I don't think the design's changed that much. It didn't look that different. Why change it when that's a success? Yeah,
there's no reason to change it.
Yeah,
so that's Daleks. And they were fine in the story, weren't they? But a bit like the cavemen, we got more into the Thal story, didn't we?
We did. I was all about the Thal story.
And so when I remember, I think when I first watched this, the Thal stuff again, wasn't really interested. It was, I'll see the Daleks. This is their first story. I like that first episode where Ian, Barbara and Susan and the Doctor are exploring the city. But the whole sort of Thal dynamics didn't interest me. But now, like us watching it, again, I'm seeing it in a different light.
I'm all about the Thal story. That was, oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay.
Should we go? Well, let's go through.
Should we go through where we are with the main characters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel that'll lead on to
bits and pieces. Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's start. Susan. Okay, Susan.
Yeah.
You were very much Team Susan.
Yeah.
In Unearthly Child. What are you thinking of her now? You've seen her in the next story.
So she's not my number one anymore.
Right.
She's not my bottom.
No.
She does pretty well though.
Well, see, the only thing. So with Susan, she is absolutely terrified of going through the jungle because she has to get these drugs, and she is terrified. And the cliffhanger is she going to make it back? But then later on, when they're escaping the city, she puts herself in front of two Daleks.
You were so annoyed
does
at
a cheeky wink and is like, "It's okay, I'm only, you guys." So she's like really scared of going through a jungle, but then she will face danger, and she doesn't seem scared of the Daleks at all. And then she's up a tree in the thought. She's climbing up the trees, having a break. And they're like, "Oh, careful, Susan, up there." She's like, "Yeah." And you see her leg. I've never noticed that before, that she climbs a tree. And then at the end, she's playing with that cloak, isn't she? She's loving it.
So I think...
She's inconsistent for me.
But you've got to remember that she's meant to be a child. She's meant to be like a teenager. So here's where I get annoyed with that whole jungle thing. That whole jungle scenario. Yeah. Here's what pisses me off royally. Okay, here we go. We've got the Doctor. He's like comatose, right? They need the drugs.
So they've all got radiation poisoning.
They've all got radiation poisoning. We've established there's some drugs that'll like help them. Okay. Doctor, he's got radiation poisoning. He's like dead. Like
he's got an episode off.
He's like, yeah, exactly. He is out of there. He's having a nap. Ian cannot walk. Ian cannot use his legs. He even tries to get up and walk. He cannot use his legs, right?
Right, yes.
Okay.
True.
Barbara, they turn to Barbara, the other adult in this situation, the only other adult, and she goes, "Oh, I'm quite dizzy." She's like, "I'm a bit dizzy." And they're like, "Oh, Barbara can't do it then. She's dizzy." Susan, the child, it's all up to you.
You can't let her go alone. She's just a child. Plead with them. Anything.
Susan, you see how ill they both are. We can't afford to wait until I can walk. An hour might make all the difference.
I'm so afraid.
Go on.
Barbara has got severe radiation poisoning.
They all do. They've all got radiation.
Barbara's had a bad time. She can't go through that jungle. She's too ill.
She's not. No, I'm sorry. But Ian was prepared to, Ian could walk. Ian could not walk. Ian was like, "Okay, I'll try." He gets him. He still can't use his legs. He's even there, the doctor. And they were like, "Now, use now." And he was like, "I need more time."
Yeah.
And Barbara's like, "I'm just too dizzy." Honestly, I was just like,
okay.
"Come on, Barbara." Oh, no. Anyway.
When she's looking after the Doctor and she's looking after Ian in the prison, isn't she? So Susan's got to go.
So, Susan.
And Susan is an alien time traveller. She's
still...
seen many jungles, I bet.
Doesn't matter. She's still... So, the reason, though, I think that she's good at doing... Not good, no. The reason that she does these things, though, the whole time is for her grandpa. She
is trying to save him and get those drugs. That's what gets her through.
Yeah.
Because she got touched in the jungle on the way, didn't she?
Yeah.
By that Thal. She did. She got touched by that Thal. So that's probably adds to her fear.
Let's say she got tapped on the shoulder.
Okay, she said she got touched by the Thal.
Yeah. In the 60s, but yeah, sure.
So she's scared of that.
Yeah.
So she thinks there's something in the jungle.
Yeah.
But she's got to get through and she's doing it for him to save everyone. That's what gets her through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she does that, and she remembers them all that she's ill. She remembers her grandpa, and she gets back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the reason that she does the Dalek thing is because she wants to save her grandpa.
Well, that's when later on when they're escaping, and she's like, "I'll just sort of distract them while they go off." Yeah.
It's always like her main focus. All her main focus is the whole time. Her character, I think hers is a very clear. I think you got to remember.
But then suddenly she's she's very childish, but then suddenly she can be a bit sciencey and I know how the TARDIS works and stuff. Alien-y.
Well, yeah, because she is.
And then she's like, "Oh, I love this cloak. Climb a tree."
Yeah, but she's also like a teenager. She's a teenager.
Yeah, I suppose I see her because I'm seeing her as like, oh, she's a Time Lord, possibly.
Yeah.
You know.
I just see it. I think because
Time Lords are sort of older than they look, so I think maybe she's like 200 years old or something.
Yeah. No, I see her just
at this point, Time Lords aren't Time Lords, so she is a 15-year-old.
Yeah, and that's how I see her. So I see her as a 15-year-old looking after her grandpa.
Yeah. And
what comes with that, because you can still have, I think you've got to remember as well, like you can still have maturity as a 15. Do you know what? I think of like, you know, I'm sure like any high school teacher, you can still have maturity as a teenager, but it doesn't mean that you have like you're the same sort of maturity as like an adult. Do you know what I mean? Like you can still handle a mature situation, but it doesn't mean that if someone gives you a fancy cloak, you just can be like, "Oh, thanks." You're gonna still. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
okay, fine.
She's still a 15-year-old girl. You know, she's mature enough to be like, "I need to get through this jungle because I need to get these drugs from my grandpa." She's not like, "Oh, I'm too scared of her." But she's still a 15-year-old girl who's scared to go through a jungle by herself. When Barbara, the other adult in the group, who was dizzy, could have done it.
Okay. So Susan's a little bit redeemed there. Susan's okay.
Yeah, so she's not my favourite, but that's only because Ian, big stepper.
Okay, well, let's go on to Ian then. So Ian does a lot in this story.
Oh, man, yeah, I love Ian.
Does. Yeah.
I have so much time for Ian.
He's like the heroic lead in this.
Yeah.
He does.
And he looks it. Like, Ian is full on, like, gone up in my... Oh, my God, yeah. I'm so for Ian. Like, if I was, like, teenage girl in the 1960s, after this episode, Ian's picture would be up on my wall.
Alidon, you can't go on running away. There are some things worth preserving.
We're not afraid to die. Temis has proved that.
I am not talking about dying.
Because he helps to teach the Thals how to fight.
Yeah.
And I really got into that story a bit more because but I didn't really, that sort of passed me by when I first watched this. I didn't really get what he was saying, but it's really good.
Looking
in the way he
after
does
yourselves.
it. The way he persuades them, and then they all go off to attack the Daleks.
Yeah.
And he leads to sort of I call it the potholing expedition through the caves. He leads that and gets them through. And he's a very strong character in this.
Yeah.
And he's disabled by a Dalek and he still wants to go.
And he still wants to go.
Yeah.
He's like the leader in this.
Yeah.
And also he very much, well, bearing in mind as well, he is the mature one in this because the Doctor is not.
No.
The Doctor is not here. The Doctor still has a lot to do to redeem himself in my eyes.
I feel like he wasn't really in it that much.
No, he was comatose a lot of the time.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't really do much.
No, basically he just ruined a lot of the time. He ruined a lot of his trip because he was selfish. And
so that was so this is sort of like, in the first story he captures Ian and Barbara pretty much. And in this one he makes it that so they have to stay and explore and gets them all into this mess in the first place.
Yeah.
So he's still not that likeable character that we're going to get to know, hopefully. Later on.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, because we have very differing opinions on
I think there's hints
Ian
of it.
and Barbara.
There's hints of it, but he's just not in it enough to...
I feel like every now and then you get these like glimpses of like him I don't know, just these good qualities, or where he's useful, or like where there's the good. And
well, he's got that sort of scientific interest, so he's looking at the Thal's records, and he's, he wants to explore. And
that's selfish.
Mercury. Oh, can I get it for you?
No, I'm afraid you can't. We haven't any at all.
What?
No.
Don't you carry a supply?
No, it hasn't been necessary. This hadn't before.
But you must have some somewhere, surely.
No. We shall have to get some from outside.
But where? There isn't anything outside but this...
Yes. There's the city.
But then the way he treats Ian and Barbara, I think, is the issue, isn't it?
And no, I think it's others as well. Just generally, like
I can't even remember him talking to many of the Thals. Ian did it all.
It was all Ian. Ian the babe.
And the doctor talks to the Daleks a bit. He gets interrogated, but it's not. No. I can't really think of anything that the doctor does that's particularly, the lead character.
No. He takes the back seat here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not very.
It's still more Ian and Barbara's story, right from the beginning. That's what I think.
I just don't. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan. I think as well, which again we've sort of touched on, but the trouble is, I see the Doctor to be what I, in the modern sense, see the Doctor to be, which is, despite his selfish nature, because the Doctor is a selfish character. There is no way around that. I mean, ultimately, he goes around the world by himself, around the universe, around the universe, and he, by himself or whatever, takes companions, whatever, but he goes to help and support people, but he's a very selfish character, but also wants to help and do good.
Yes. Yeah.
Like he does.
Where he goes.
Ultimately, he does want to help. He wants to help mankind. And the story that I've always understood, I think this is like from, again, my like Christmas specials or whatever, is that because his race as a Time Lord ended, he wants to try and help others not have that. And so like when they get like attacks from like the Daleks and all these other sorts of things, that's why he helps fight against that, because he does have that knowledge and he does know these things, and he can do that because he's a Time Lord and he does have that. And
but at this point, he doesn't have any of that interest. He doesn't want to get involved.
No. And I think
he doesn't care about the Thals and the Daleks' war. He wants to get that bit of the TARDIS and get out of there.
Well, he just wanted...
Well, he wants to explore and just see different planets and stuff, but he doesn't want to help.
No, exactly.
And it's Ian that has to get them to help, and he hasn't got to that point yet where he's not enjoying the truck, but you know what, he just wants to explore on his own.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think...
And keep out of things.
Yeah, we haven't got to a point where the Doctor... The good of the Doctor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
because actually it's beyond himself. Like,
he's not there yet.
No. And I think that's why, like, it frustrates me. Because I can take the selfish side, because the Doctor, regardless, is a selfish character.
Right, yeah.
I think, like, I just think they all are. I think, like, he's a very egotistical character. Every single Doctor I can think of that I've seen, there is an ego to him. To be that sort of character, to some extent, there's some sort of eccentricity and ego, and he's a very flamboyant character. Whatever generation of Doctor it is, it's always seemed that sort of, you're the last one, you're the only one, you know? There's sort of a arrogance to that. So I get that, but I want to see within the Doctor the good. And there's just selfish.
Well, it's his relationship with Susan.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't even see that. He almost is quite dismissive of her sometimes, and like he almost is like, but she, I don't know.
He treats her very much as a child.
Yeah,
very much. And
again, which is fine because she is, but it's a lack of awareness beyond his own.
Okay. Yes. Well, yes. That I think with Ian and Barbara around, that sort of starts to change.
Yeah.
But we're still
exactly.
not there yet.
No.
At this point.
No.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Doctor.
Yeah. Okay.
So, some other highlights. You're laughing because you know what's coming up. I can't even. Was it towards the end? I think.
So I think the Doctor and Susan get to the Dalek city to sabotage the controls, and he's got.
I called it a poo stick,
and you were like, "Why has he got a poo? Why has he got poo on a stick?" And I'm not sure where. Is it something that he got from the Thals, or it's his own walking stick?
I don't know.
That he uses to smash. You said it looked like, but you were like, it's poo on a stick. Maybe he did get poo on a stick from the jungle. I'm not sure.
Know.
And he uses that, but
he does.
There was a poo stick.
There was a poo stick. You love that. You were like, what?
I've never noticed that before when I've watched this episode.
It did. It looked like
Listeners, look out for the poo stick. If you spot the poo stick,
you get some poo. It did. It looked like, because he started whacking it, didn't he? And I was like, it looks like some poo on a stick.
Next cosplay.
Please, nobody bring poo on a stick. So then we get to that leaves us with Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara. You're number one.
Well, she's not. She's not.
Well, you were quite harsh on her in An Unearthly Child.
Yeah, and I still am.
But I still maintain she went through a lot. And this is pretty.
They're all going through a lot. She only just got changed and they're stuck out in radiation. She's just got back from the Cave of Skulls. She's had a bit of a. Well, she had a wash, probably. What about Ian?
Well, and Ian.
Yeah.
And then out she goes, and the severe radiation the moment she leaves the TARDIS.
Don't. You know exactly what I'm thinking. Like, and Ian and Susan and the Doctor, they're all in the same boat. Don't get me wrong.
And Barbara is the first person to see a Dalek. She gets that first cliffhanger.
Good
where
for
she's
her.
walking around. I love that where she's walking around the city and you know something's going to happen and it builds up and you just see her clomp, clomp, clomp through the corridors.
Look at You're just looking because my face is so unamused.
And you don't care. You do not care for Barbara.
No. Look, my big frustration with Barbara is she's just a wet button-back blouse.
Well, okay, so she has all that radiation issue. They get better. But she steps up. You've got to admit, she steps up when they go potholing with the Thals.
No, she doesn't. She falls over.
She gets in her Thal's trousers. She gets
Where
the rope.
did she get them from?
She jumps over and then we were talking about Barbara. Sorry.
Can we please talk about Barbara and her love?
Ganatus and Barbara. I've never realised this relationship before.
And I was like, I can't remember what it was, but I went to you like, they're gonna get it, something like that, and you were like, what? And I was like, watch this space.
Ganatus and Barbara are great. And so, well, you weren't impressed because Barbara was trying to Ganatus goes down a hole with a bit of rope with just Barbara at the other end to hold him.
Was that a bloody hell? Here we go.
He falls down.
Of course he does, because Barbara... because she doesn't even tie it up properly. She did a lousy job.
But the funny thing was when Ganatus gets up and then Ian comes and be like, are you all right? And he's like, where's Barbara? It's Barbara again.
Hold on to it.
Where's Ganatus?
My fingers is down here, look.
Barbara! All right, this end. Are you hurt? No, I'm not.
Is my brother hurt?
No, he isn't. But it was my fault. The rope slipped off the rock.
The rope entered us. Barbara!
Ganatus is so disappointed that it's Ian. It's like, are you okay? He's like, I don't care. Where's Barbara?
He's all about Barb.
Yeah.
It's all about the Barb.
Bit of a love triangle, maybe.
I know, we were thinking that. No,
And Ganatus helps Barbara get through the potholing.
Just as well, because she's falling over. She's useless.
She throws a rock at the Dalek at the end. She gets that she throws the rock.
Big what?
And she gets that mud and puts it over the Dalek's eye when they're trying to escape. She does her fair share of Dalek fighting.
Look, my big thing with Barbara though is I'm not bashing on Barbara or anything. I know I am, but I get really frustrated, and it's not her fault as such. It's just the way it's wrote, Is I just wanted to step up. I just there's so many moments like the radiation is a prime example of just where she's like, oh, I'm a bit dizzy. Like, there's just so a way where when he falls, like, she just didn't tie it around a rock at all. Like, there's just so many moments.
But she's probably never been like caving before. She's trying to cope. Caving on another planet. She's trying. She really is.
No, there's so many things in that episode where you think, okay, great, and then she just does something. I'm like, come on, love, sort it out.
I think she's showing the real person going through these traumatic experiences.
I don't. I think honestly, sometimes it's just proper wet blouse Barbara. Like, she falls over all the time. Like, when
she got stuck under that door, I suppose.
Yeah, she got stuck under a door. I was like, oh, come on, don't send Barbara there. What was, like, and when they're the ones going through the jungle, that they're doing the dangerous thing, who did they send? Ian and Barbara? Like, it's only because Ganatus wanted to, like, do her that he takes her with him. Like, he has no idea what he's letting himself in for with Barbara.
Oh, and they have a little kiss at the end.
They do.
Yeah?
Yeah. And off she pops.
Off she goes.
I don't mean that.
What did you think of the other Thal characters? Were any of it just Ganatus that was the one we were talking about, really?
I know.
The others, they're good. They're a good group of them.
There was, of course, the real cliffhanger, wasn't there? The one that...
So when that Thal jumped over and he missed, didn't he, in the caving? That was a general...
Well, not on purpose, but it wasn't on purpose, but then...
Some nice... It was very... That's the thing. 7 episodes, it didn't drag.
No.
It really didn't. Like, we were really, like, we were really into it. And when that cliffhanger happened at the end of episode 6, I was like, no! Because I'd forgotten that happened.
Yeah.
And there's no music on that, and they're trying to get him, and they're trying to, and you're just watching this tense moment of, is this Thal going to get out this cave?
I said to you, didn't I, before you even jumped, I went, that's dangerous. And you went, well, I went, well, Ian's not, like, tied to anything. I was like, if he goes, Ian's going.
Ian's holding on with his fingers, and it's like, oh.
And then lo and behold, he goes, and Ian's...
I know, but it's really good. It's really exciting, I thought.
Yeah. No, it was. It was. I mean, like I say, a lot of it is like
Barbara's not good with heights.
Of course she's not. She's not good with anything. But I just wanted to look, at the end of the day, this woman is like, she's a teacher in a school, and she's like, I just wanted to be a bit more decisive and a little bit more...
But everything is alien around her.
And for Ian.
Yeah, I suppose. But Ian's a science teacher. I don't know. Maybe he knows a bit more.
Is that what you're going with? Is that your argument here? What about when they were...
Ian sort of takes it in his stride. He's like, right, we've got to do this. We've got to get home. He's doing it to get home and look after Barbara. He's like, right, the Mercury is in the Dalek City. We're going. The only way we can do this is to get the Thals, go caving, smash up the Daleks, and get this thing back. And he's like, right, mission... There we go. I'm going to do it. And he does it.
Yeah. Barbara does not. And Barbara just like gets it on with Ganatus, doesn't she? No. Yeah. That's my sort of thoughts on that.
So you enjoyed the story though?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
So there was a film version of this.
Oh yeah, you mentioned before. Yeah, go on.
So maybe a couple of years after this, when the Daleks were really popular, based on this story, it's not William Hartnell, it's Peter Cushing and some other people. So you've got Ian, Barbara, and Susan, played by different people.
Ooh.
And like Susan is like 10 or 11, and he's called Doctor Who, and he
BBC.
No, it's like based on the BBC. It's this film company that made it,
right?
And it's full, Technicolor, which is great, and it's not like, it's sort of like not canon,
right?
Like fans love it. It's just a nice little sort of alternative version.
Yeah,
and they're fun things to watch. But I'd love to see the TV lot in that Technicolor film. Every time I watched it, I was like, I wish it was William Hartnell and that lot, because it follows a story. You see the alien, the jungle and the Thals and everything, and it's massive set. they spent
Did
a lot of
Barbara
money
and
on it.
Ganitus get it on?
I can't remember Ganitus, but I'll have to watch it again. It's been a while since I watched it. But
I wanna know if
actually, I
Barbara,
watched a clip. I started watching a little bit the other night just to compare. And you've got Susan running through the jungle, but like 12-year-old Susan running through the jungle, and she does a much better job than TV Susan. But it's
Getting
like,
whacked by your
it's
stick.
like high crane shot, and she's running, and it's like, it's like storm, and it's like proper filmic.
Are
And
the
they don't
Daleks like exactly the
Daleks
same?
are like multicolored, and they have flamethrowers and stuff, and they're bigger, and the Dalek
they look the
city's
same?
bigger. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they're a little bit slight tweaks. They've got like claws and more platforms and stuff, but they're all like brightly colored.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a really different version of this story.
Yeah.
But I'd wish it was the TV lot. It would just be really cool to see those guys in the film. But the Peter Cushing one, I do recommend watching that as well at some point. And the first Doctor Who book was this story, Doctor Who and the Daleks, written again in the 60s.
Yeah.
And I've got the audio book of that.
Of course.
And I started listening to it. I keep falling asleep. Read by William Russell, Ian. But they changed the story in that.
Oh.
So it's told from Ian's perspective.
Wonderful.
And he's a scientist on his way to his job. And he meets Barbara and Susan have crashed their car. And they've crashed into like this army truck. And this army guy's dead. So Ian has to like help Barbara and Susan from this like crash.
Yeah.
And then Barbara says that she answered an advert in a newspaper to educate this schoolgirl.
Yeah.
And it's slightly different. It takes all the cavemen stuff out, so they meet and they go straight to Skaro. They take and I keep falling asleep. I've only heard that beginning bit, so the Doctor hasn't even turned up or anything yet, so I can't tell you anymore. But Ian doesn't know Barbara, and he meets Barbara and Susan in this car crash thing, and so I'm interested to see how that develops. When I've listened to that first disc so many times, I keep falling asleep. But I'll get round to it eventually. So yeah, this story, it's an important story because it makes Doctor Who what it is, and because when they made the first film, obviously they're going to make the first Dalek story.
Yeah.
The first book is going to be the first Dalek story. There's a lot on this story.
Yeah. I wonder whether because obviously they did the film and it was a different actor playing the Doctor, and if people didn't have sort of an issue, I guess, if that was sort of like a given thing.
It's strange that they decided, I think that because they were making the TV series, actors weren't available or anything.
So
I don't know if
they
I don't know what they thought.
Or
but it was
I guess because it's not a BBC film, maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But
it's just nothing to do with
Peter Cushing
BBC.
is a very different Doctor. He's very different.
But that almost gives that allowance for fans to accept a different person.
Yeah, maybe.
To play
It was the
Doctor.
first time that someone else played the Doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously that's just what happens. He regenerates.
Yeah, but that wasn't even a consideration for years and years.
No.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. It comes to a point where actually that happened, not even a thing, and yet that it's now the norm that someone else plays the Doctor.
Yeah.
He's a very sort of.
It's known as a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like a Shakespeare character. Other people play him, and
exactly
in different ways.
Yeah.
And
do you know what? I forgot to ask you. Have you seen any Jodie Whittaker yet?
no, I haven't seen any.
That's interesting. Yeah. Be very
I
interested
didn't
to see
watch
what you
any
think.
Peter Capaldi.
I was going to say Peter Capaldi because you didn't mention him last time either.
No.
Yeah, you haven't seen those two yet.
No, I watched quite a bit of David Tennant, and I watched quite a lot of early Matt Smith with what's her name in red hair.
Amy. Yeah,
Amy Pond. But I got a little bit bored because they brought in what's her name, River
Song.
Yeah, I got a bit bored on them.
Oh, okay.
And then if it was on,
it got a bit complicated and
and then because obviously I didn't watch it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't really know what's going on.
Right. Okay,
So
that's
I just
interesting.
sort of
I just thought, because Jodie Whittaker is very different.
Yeah.
As the Doctor, so that was a.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what you think of her.
Well, we've got 60 years to get
We've got a
through
long
first,
way
haven't we?
before we get there. Yeah. Right. So then we ended up with after we've defeated the Daleks, we're back in the TARDIS, and then blam. Next episode, The Edge of Destruction.
I feel
How exciting.
I know. Well, pretty much every episode I feel will end with a blam.
Well, I love that about the 60s episodes, is they're pretty much all of them, they follow on each week to the next story.
Yeah.
So it's quite, I don't know, it's quite exciting. Maybe some Jodie Whittaker's first story that ended on a cliffhanger into the next story. They went sort of back to that just a tiny little bit. It doesn't happen very often, but it's always the next episode and something, something to look forward to next week. It's quite good, especially when you're watching it in order. It's like, oh, where are they going to end up next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they did that then for the first episode, because they knew so many people would turn in for the first episode.
That had a lot of viewers, that Jodie Whittaker one. Yeah, well, it makes sense, doesn't it, to end on a cliffhanger.
To make them come back the following week to finish it.
Yeah. There we go. Are you excited for The Edge of Destruction?
Yeah, well, mainly because you said it's only 2.
Yes, again, it's so many different length of stories coming up as well. So, yeah, it'll be an easy one next one.
Yeah. And then what's after that?
And then it's a missing story, which I will go into. Let's stop this conversation now. That's for a future episode. There is not time to explain missing episodes right now. So let's just leave it there. Okay. So thank you very much for listening, everyone. You can follow us on Twitter at 2WatchWho, or follow us on Instagram, 2WatchWho. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to podcasts to listen to future episodes. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
2WatchWho.
Hey, Doctor Who? What are you talking about?